Your home with BuildAid on Mix 93.8. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.
BuildAid on Mix 93.8 FM. Good evening. My name's Graham Alexander. In the studio, as usual, Kay and Simon looking after the desk. And Simon is a real proud architect this evening after winning an award last week at the SIO Awards. Kay, what else are we doing this evening?
Okay, well, it's that time of the year when everyone's straining towards this December break. So if you're feeling bad about your job, just think you could be the next superstar. I've got a list of some bizarre jobs that some of our favorite rock musicians have had. But I'm looking for one guy in particular. He was the assistant editor at Glamour and Vogue magazine, which is a very glam job, obviously. But now he's a wildly famous guitarist. And here's your clue. He's with a smoochy band. So if you know who I'm talking
about.
A smoochy band. You'll know who it is. If you know who I'm talking about, send us an SMS on 41348 and you could win some delish ice cream, which will cool you down just a little bit.
I'm going to be chatting to two gentlemen about timber frame construction, which includes roofing. Lyndsay Cotton and Werner Slabbert. We're going to learn something about timber frame building. My guests this evening, Lyndsay Cotton and Werner Slabbert. Lyndsay, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to chat to us. And Werner, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Two guys that have been in the industry a long, long time. They're both either members or board members of ITC, which is the Institute for Timber Construction. But both gentlemen are also in their own businesses. Lyndsay on one side, manufacturing and erecting roof trusses, and Werner in timber frame construction. So we've got two experts, and I know a lot of people say don't call me an expert because that's going to get me into trouble, but let's rather say that the two of you are at least specialists.
Lyndsay, let's say we're passionate about our job.
There we go. And I know you've been in the industry for over 20 years, so you need to be passionate, otherwise you would have left a long time ago.
Absolutely.
How did you get involved, Lyndsay?
In
construction?
Well, in construction, I'm a quantity surveyor. I qualified in 95. And yeah, I've been in the construction business since. Started the roof truss industry in 2011. And yeah, we've gone from strength to strength. And being on the board, passionate and pushing for the right standards.
Werner, in timber frame construction, we in the industry know what it is, but we're going to learn a little bit. Everybody out there, I hope, is going to learn a little bit more. How did you get involved?
Yeah, certainly. So I started in a family business, which I've now taken over. And it's just something that, again, the passion that Lyndsay is talking about is really what it's about. You know, it's something, when you get involved with something like timber frame construction, something that you grow a passion for, and it just keeps on growing. And there's a reason why most of the first world live in timber frame houses. It obviously is a very popular choice around the world. And yeah, so it's just something I absolutely love what I do.
Lyndsay, tell us a little bit about ITC, or the Institute for Timber Construction.
Well, ITC was started 40 years ago as an association for the nail plate manufacturers, but has since evolved, and now timber frame builders are involved, timber roof fabricators and erectors. They're engineer members and inspector members. So yes, we're there to make sure that the standards in our industry are upheld, and that further research and development is done to make sure that the homeowner ultimately and the consumer is protected. And obviously also to make sure that the members themselves' interests are protected.
We've interviewed a number of chair people and members of various associations. And, excuse me, our record recently, certainly in the last 5 years, that a lot of the institutes and associations are becoming a lot more effective. In the past, there were a number that had limited members, and we weren't sure if you had to be a member and so on. With regard to your membership, do people in the industry have to be members, or is it recognized that it should be that way?
Well, up to now, membership has been pretty much compulsory. Our industry is moving to a lot of other professional industries where membership is now going to become voluntary. And that's actually a good thing, because now the people that belong in the fold will stay and those that don't belong will go, so that we can make sure the standards are upheld and there's no one is just included because they are included.
From a consumer point of view, I just want to focus on roof trusses for a sec, because if you're building a new home or you're about to build a new home, chances are you're going to be using timber prefabricated roof trusses. Obviously, you may have a flat roof and so on. But when it comes to roof trusses, as a consumer, it's probably good to know that there is an institute like ITC that you can question the contractor and say, you're using these guys to put my roof up. Who are they?
Well, he must have a certificate of competence, and he must prove that he can design the structure that's required. There's certain different levels of structure, and the fabricator and the designer must be competent within those levels.
We have the you guys own or run a factory where you make trusses, but you also erect the trusses. Do the fabricators or the factories also have to be members?
Currently, yes. The membership includes for the fabricator, that is the company that manufactures the truss, and then our company is also erectors, and we erect the trusses as well. Pretty much every fabricator in South Africa is a member of the ITC at the moment, but very, very few erectors, and that's the real concern.
Lyndsay, we've been through the process of you make a truss, erect a truss, and there's these potential problems when people aren't putting them up correctly and so on. And ITC, and I believe yourself personally and your company's been involved, have come up with a system, an inspection system that could possibly overcome these problems. So run us through it.
Look, a competent person who has to inspect a structure in terms of SANS 10400 must be either an engineer or an architect. In the fields of roof and roofing, it's important that this engineer or competent person must also be an expert in the fields of roof and roofing. Now, you will have engineers signing off structures, and no disrespect intended, but he's got no idea about the design of a roof structure. So we have many problems. I wouldn't say it's prevalent, but there are documented cases where engineers are signing off structures and they don't even know where the site is. So it's a very, very concerning trend.
Yeah. So how does the system work? You showed it to me on the phone. Unfortunately, this is radio, so we can't share it with you. But you showed it to me on your phone, and it's the basis of an app.
Well, you have ITC accredited inspectors, and they will report to an engineer. So they will be trained what to look for and what the erection of a roof truss is, and all the bracing and all the requirements, and then he will inspect the structure. And then what he would do is he'd fill in this app. He'd use an app on his phone. Today, the cell phones, the smartphones makes it so easy. And once he's filled in the app, he's followed the checklist that the ITC has issued, not just a quick glance at everything. He follows through a very comprehensive checklist. He takes photographs. In fact, he even proves where he is with a GPS coordinate. And he then fires this form off to the fabricator, not to the engineer, to the fabricator. Now, the fabricator will go through this report and see that this roof has been erected according to his design intent. That's important, that the fabricator's design must be the way he wants it put up. Then, once the fabricator certifies that there's not a geyser lying on top of a truss that wasn't designed for, and he's quite happy that everything's according to the right standards, he then signs this form and he pops it off to the engineer. The engineer then verifies everything, and obviously the engineer will, with spot checks, go out and check structures and make sure the whole process is documented, it's electronic, and it can be proven. It can be then Form 3 and Form 4 can automatically be filled in and given to the building inspectorate or to the banks for the payout. The bank, the insurance company, everyone is covered. There's no room for error.
Because, Werner, if it works on a roof, it can work on a timber frame house, in theory. You might need to inspect a few more things and over a different duration, but in theory it could work.
Yeah, certainly. We really, and from my perspective, I really want to promote the idea that people that want to build this stuff, that they actually get competent people involved, that do these inspections properly. Building a house for most people is the biggest investment they will ever make. Why don't you just pay a little bit more attention, get more involved, contact the ITC, and make sure that your investment is
the timber frame builders get regularly asked by banks when a house gets bonded for the second or third time, or when a person buys a house and they want that inspection done again to make sure. We must remember that our regulations say that commercial buildings and residential buildings must be inspected regularly. So an app like this can be used to prove that maintenance has been done on a building at a later stage.
Yeah.
A building cannot just be put up and a roof cannot just be left for 20 years. There is actually rules for re-inspections.
Yeah, if I may just say something, what makes it difficult to inspect a timber frame house is that you've now already cladded the walls. it's impossible to have X-ray vision and see inside the walls. But if you followed this process, everything would be clear. You would know up front. It's very difficult afterwards if you want me to do an inspection on a house that's been closed up. I'm not gonna rip it apart to see what's going on.
I think from a consumer point of view and an industry point of view is that institutes like ITC are introducing systems by their own,
Yes, of our own choosing, yes.
Yeah, no one forced you to do it. And it's just making the construction industry a more credible, sustainable place
I think that's the important part, is to make sure that we are recognized and we are sustainable, and that the services of our members, who are professional members, are utilized, and not someone that is just taking a chance for a quick buck.
Yeah. I've been chatting to Lyndsay Cotton and Werner Slabbert. We chatted about the ITC. They both represent a company called LPC Roofing and Eco Log Homes. Lyndsay, thanks for coming to chat to us.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Werner, thank you so much for coming.
No, thanks for having us. It's been great. Thanks, Graham.
And Kay, how have we done with the man with the tongue?
Well, quite a few people got it right, and I'm very impressed. The last few: Deborah Lee, Francis, Angelique, Natalie, Dawn, and Fish. And our winner tonight is Jerry, and the answer was Gene Simmons from KISS. I've been giving you the clue away all night long, keep it stupid, simple, stupid. Anyway, we're going to play out with a little bit of KISS tonight. Crazy Nights, which is definitely what tonight is, if you heard the thunder over us.
Kay, thank you so much, as usual. Simon, thank you for running the desk and a lot more. And Ian for videographing everything. But a very special thanks to my guests, Lyndsay and Werner. Up next is the greatest show on earth. We do this every Wednesday between 6 and 7. Catch you next week. Ciao.
Your home with BuildAid on Mix brings you all sorts of interesting info about building. Graham Alexander chats to different guests every Wednesday evening between 6 and 7. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.